Have you ever pondered the immense power held within the nucleus of an atom? A single atom, barely visible to the naked eye, holds a force so powerful it's beyond our wildest imaginations. This is the magic and the mystery of nuclear power. The concept of harnessing this power was born with the discovery of nuclear fission in the early 20th century. Scientists found that by splitting an atom, a tremendous amount of energy could be released. This was a monumental moment in history that held the potential to revolutionize the way we generate power. During the Second World War, this theoretical potential became a tangible reality. The destructive power of the atom was unleashed, leaving an indelible mark on humanity and changing the course of history. This was just the beginning of our journey into the nuclear age. The power of the atom, once discovered, promised to change the world in ways unimaginable. The dawn of the nuclear age, brought forth by the end of World War II, was a time of both hope and fear. As the war's smoke cleared, the world stood on the brink of a new era, one powered by the atom's mighty force. The inception of nuclear power plants promised a future of clean, limitless energy. This was a time of great scientific achievement, a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. The splitting of the atom had unlocked a source of power so profound, it held the potential to revolutionize our world. Visions of cities powered by nuclear energy filled the minds of scientists and civilians alike, painting a picture of a world where energy shortages were a thing of the past. This was the promise of the nuclear age. A future where the atom served mankind, providing us with a seemingly infinite source of clean power. But alongside this promise of limitless energy, a darker narrative began to unfold. The very technology that promised a brighter future also held the potential for unprecedented destruction. The atomic bomb, the most devastating weapon the world had ever seen, had been unleashed, casting a long shadow over the dawn of the nuclear age. This was the paradox of the nuclear age, a time of great promise, yet also a time of profound fear. The Cold War, a conflict characterized by an escalating nuclear arms race, underlined this duality. It was a time when nations amassed nuclear weapons, not for use, but as a deterrent, a show of force. The world watched, held in a tense balance between the promise of nuclear power and the fear of nuclear annihilation. The nuclear age was a time of paradox, full of promise and potential, yet overshadowed by fear and mistrust. It was an era that would forever change our world, illustrating the duality of human nature, our capacity for creation and destruction, hope and fear, all encapsulated in the power of the atom. As the knowledge of nuclear power spread, so did its reach. This was not a phenomenon limited to a handful of superpowers, but a scientific breakthrough that rapidly permeated borders and oceans. The mid-20th century saw an unprecedented diffusion of nuclear technology as countries from every corner of the globe sought to harness the formidable power of the atom. In the aftermath of the Second World War, the United States and the Soviet Union emerged as the pioneers of nuclear energy, their rivalry fueling a nuclear arms race that would define the Cold War era. However, it wasn't long before other nations joined this exclusive club, their ambitions driven by a myriad of reasons, from national security to economic development and scientific prestige. By the late 1950s, the United Kingdom, France, and China had developed their own nuclear weapons, and countries like India, Israel, and Pakistan wouldn't be far behind. Meanwhile, nations such as Japan, Germany, and Canada were investing heavily in nuclear power for peaceful purposes, recognizing the potential of this energy source in an increasingly industrialized world. Yet the spread of nuclear technology was not without its risks. The potential for misuse and proliferation became a growing concern, leading to the establishment of the International Atomic Energy Agency in 1957. Tasked with promoting the peaceful use of nuclear energy and preventing the spread of nuclear weapons, the agency played a crucial role in regulating nuclear power on a global scale. Over the decades, the IAEA has worked tirelessly to foster cooperation among nations, facilitating the exchange of scientific and technical information and implementing safeguards to ensure nuclear technology is used responsibly. Its efforts have been instrumental in striking a balance between the benefits and risks of nuclear power. So, as we journeyed from the dawn of the nuclear age into the latter half of the 20th century, what became clear was this: nuclear power was no longer confined to a few superpowers but had become a global phenomenon. Its impact was far-reaching, its implications profound, and its potential both awe-inspiring and terrifying was now a reality for all of humanity to grapple with. But what happens when this immense power falls into the hands of unstable nations? Today, the spread of nuclear power isn't just limited to superpowers and stable nations. Several countries with volatile political climates and weak regulatory systems have also tapped into the atom's might. This situation, as you may imagine, opens the door to a world of risks and potential consequences. Let's take a moment to unpack this. Imagine, if you will, a nation grappling with internal conflict, poor infrastructure, and a lack of stringent regulatory oversight. Now, introduce nuclear power into this mix. The result? A precarious balance where the slightest misstep can lead to catastrophic outcomes. Nuclear power, while a potent source of energy, requires a high degree of precision, control, and oversight. In countries where these elements are lacking, the risk of nuclear accidents increases substantially. We've seen the devastating impact of such accidents in the past, from Chernobyl to Fukushima. These incidents serve as stark reminders of the potential fallout when things go awry. But the risk isn't limited to accidents alone. There's also the ever-looming threat of nuclear weapons falling into the wrong hands. In unstable countries, the line between peaceful nuclear energy and nuclear weaponry can blur. A lack of regulation coupled with internal conflicts can create a dangerous pathway for nuclear materials to be diverted for militaristic purposes, or worse, end up in the hands of non-state actors such as terrorist groups. This isn't mere speculation. In the past, we've seen attempts by non-state actors to acquire nuclear material. The consequences of such a scenario unfolding are too dreadful to contemplate. A single nuclear detonation by a terrorist group could result in loss of life on an unimaginable scale and trigger a global crisis. Furthermore, the presence of nuclear power in unstable countries can exacerbate regional tensions. It can spark arms races, destabilizing already volatile regions. It can also provide a justification for preemptive attacks, leading to an escalation in conflicts. So, what can be done to mitigate these risks? International cooperation and stringent global regulation are crucial. Efforts like the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons aim to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons and promote cooperation in the peaceful uses of nuclear energy. However, these measures are only as effective as the commitment of nations to uphold them. Moreover, providing support to improve the regulatory capacities of these countries is essential. This can be achieved through international assistance programs that help to enhance nuclear safety and security standards. But let's not forget, the ultimate goal is to promote stability in these nations. Addressing root causes of instability like economic disparity, political corruption, and social unrest can go a long way in ensuring nuclear power is used responsibly and safely. The threat of nuclear power in unstable countries is a pressing concern that the world cannot afford to ignore. We must therefore work collectively to ensure that the power of the atom is harnessed for the good of humanity, not its destruction. So, where does this leave us in the grand scheme of nuclear power? As we gaze into the future, the potential for nuclear power appears to be both promising and precarious. On one hand, we see the emergence of safer and more efficient technologies that could revolutionize our energy landscape. Innovations such as small modular reactors, advanced fuel cycles, and thorium reactors promise to deliver nuclear energy that is not just cleaner and more sustainable, but also less prone to accidents and misuse. At the same time, however, the specter of nuclear weapons casts a long shadow over these advancements. The same technology that powers our cities can also destroy them in an instant, a chilling reminder of the dual nature of nuclear power. This underscores the need for an international approach to manage nuclear technology. We live in a world where the line between nuclear energy and nuclear weaponry is increasingly blurred. As more nations gain access to nuclear technology, the risk of proliferation grows. This is a global challenge that demands a global response. It calls for stronger international institutions, tighter regulations, and a collective commitment to nuclear safety and non-proliferation. But it's not just about managing risks. It's also about harnessing the immense potential of nuclear power to combat some of our most pressing challenges. Imagine a world where clean, abundant nuclear energy powers our cities, drives our industries, and propels us towards a sustainable future. That's the promise of nuclear power, and it's a promise worth striving for. In the end, The question isn't whether we should use nuclear power, but how we should use it. It's not about whether it's good or bad, but how we can make it better. It's about finding the right balance between risk and reward, between power and responsibility. The future of nuclear power remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the power of the atom will continue to shape our world in profound ways.